Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Stalktober special event of the Heart of the Jakuls. I'm your primed host Lothran, and there's ever so much work to be done. So let's unearth all that we can in what little time we have to our names. Go steal a quick snack, take the best seat you can pilfer, gain the most comfort that you can, and quench your thoughts upon sewing the strands. Tirtho jammed his hands into the soft flesh of the stone surface of the diamond, the seemingly solid material oozing apart at his insistent entrance into its domain. He had to work fast. "Arm the front lines!" he shouted over his shoulder at a Srawling commander. Hephaestus nodded to his voo. The Srawling gave the order through his connection to the shared space. Row upon row of growling foot soldiers picking up their shields and belting their swords and spears. "Archers at the ready!" Tirtho called out while his fingers danced through the chords of energy teeming into life and death within the core of the hive. The strands, once separated from each rope, fought him for all they were worth. They didn't want to be shaped into what Tirtho would make of them, but that was the way it was supposed to be. Things are meant to be difficult. He would craft stronger life, better objects, more intricate things from the difficulty of the struggle. His skills would improve, if Tirtho lived to improve them. "Fire!" Tirtho shouted as he began forming the right shapes to proceed to the next stage of progress. The growling archers, their bodies practically made out of arm and shoulder muscles, pulled back on ballista-sized metal bows with twine of solid woven steel cord. Their arrows, each one as heavy as a cannonball, soared through the air down towards their targets. The twisted growlings that the Zir assaulting this position was sending their way in the millions. The storm raged as the forces of might swept toward one another. "Come on! Work! We need you to work! Come on!" Tirtho forced the shapes together in the same instant as he forced his will in each particular design upon the hidden object in the ever-heating center of the hive. "This has to work! Come on, I need this!" He tried to goad the hive into doing his bidding at least a little bit quicker than it already was. Tirtho heard the first of the Zir's forces crash into the fourth ring with an eruption of impacted screams of terror on both sides. The Zir growlings cried out as they were influenced by Tirtho's presence and benevolence, just now becoming aware of the plight of having been born to a Zir as a master. Tirtho's forces cried out as one in support of each other, holding the line even as another beam of brilliant red energy shot out to strike at the golden imprint of the fourth ring. "Come on, my growling brothers! Do you want to evolve to be a foe? We fight or we die!" Hephaestus raised his bow and shot out into the throng, picking off targets at the point of impact, in the same seconds also switching out beleaguered squads and reinforcing those that sustained heavy casualties. Tirtho could feel the pressure of the ring beginning to buckle in his innermost thoughts under the heat and pressure from the sheer amount of bodies pressing upon it. His lines starting to falter, and he finished his work. The Zir beams started to cut through the foundation of the fourth ring. That was ground he could not afford to lose right now. Putting the finishing touches on this weapon, Tirtho hoped it would work as intended. At least since he'd skipped both testing and safety protocols, he wouldn't have to live through the failure if it occurred. Nor would anyone else if it misfired. Tirtho tickled the spot in his mind that represented Hephaestus, his most loyal and capable servant within his version of the shared space. The Srawling turned and caught the device, dropping his bow a second before that. Hefting his hand on one end of it, wrapping his other over the trigger, the Srawling aimed and fired across the battlefield as if he'd been using the weapon his entire life, the beam slamming into one of the Zir laser towers. At first, Tirtho felt his hopes dashed as nothing happened, but then the entire structure flickered, the beam shut off, and the onslaught paused, reflecting the weak connection the Zir had through the mind of his subjects. Even through the necessity of raising the force field and its protective dome, Tirtho felt the blinding light and expanding explosion shatter the enemy forces. They began fleeing the field even under the weight of their Zir creator's horrible mind. Such a creation of terror from a growling was never a permanent control mechanism. Better to assuage their needs, to train and to teach, to provide and fulfill, than to force them upon the end of a whip. Can I get a few more of these, boss? Hephaestus called out as he held the rifle aloft in celebration. Maybe a good shoulder strap? He was rubbing his other arm. He joked towards his foe. I'll see what I can do, old friend. Don't fire it more than once on a single charge, Crystal. I like having a face. Tirtho bent back to the hive, thrusting his hands back into the floating diamond artifact. He had too much work to do if he was ever going to win any freedom against all the Zirs surrounding him. And so it is. Our time together has once more come to a close. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I have. As always, I've been your scholarly host, Lothran, and this was Sowing the Strands, another tale right from the heart of the Jakuls. And I give you now unto Korvoth to lead you back the way you came.
Hello and good night to each and all. Please leave your comments, questions, and kindnesses down below. None of that awful, terrible, or mean stuff, though. Remember to like and share and subscribe to help us learn and spread and grow. And we strongly insist that each and every one of you do everything in your power to stay safe out there. Goodbye and good luck. Have a wonderful night, everybody. Bye-bye.